Hi, my name's Tyler Thurman, and welcome back to my transformative coaching video. And this is part 2 of a 3-part series on the 3 principles. And if you're watching this one first for some reason, I encourage you to go back and watch part 1 and then come back to this one. You can find it at www.coachtylerthurman.blogspot.com. And so last video, I spent pretty much all the time talking about the first principle of thought. And this video, I'm going to spend my time speaking about the second principle, which is consciousness. Now, consciousness it's a word that gets tossed around a lot in the psychology fields and mental health and personal development, but people don't really know what it means. And to be honest with you, I have an idea about what it means, but I can almost guarantee that I haven't seen it fully for what it is. But I want to talk just a little bit about it because it's super important. Again, in understanding this principle of consciousness, you can begin to have a more and more wonderful experience of life. And so remember, it all comes back to understanding, not control. We're not in the control game when it comes to these principles because they just are. And we can either understand them deeply or we can understand them shallow or not at all. So let me dive into it. So consciousness, as I see it, is essentially our awareness. It's our ability to pay attention to our lives, our experience of life. So there's thought, which is the first principle, which is, again, it's the content of our experience. And then there's our relationship to thought. There's a relationship to all those beliefs and values and ideas about right and wrong and memories and traumas. And so there's all those thoughts that we have that, again, they sort of cause our emotions. They're the direct link to our emotions. And then there's our relationship to them. And our relationship to them is hugely important. Because think for a second, if you just think about that whole category that I just described, all those things that are made up by our thinking, and then think for a second, if your relationship to that group of thoughts, all of our thoughts, is that they are completely real, they are factual, and they are extremely important. If you have that kind of relationship to your thinking, you're going to experience an incredible roller coaster of life, and it's going to feel really significant and really scary, and at times really exciting and joyful, but that's not going to be your predominant experience. Because when our thoughts seem real to us, which is what that kind of relationship does, when our thoughts seem real and important, we have a relatively miserable experience of life. And we tend to act on our thinking as if it's real and important, and we need to do something about it. And that's when we get ourselves into trouble. That's, criminals, people who do things against the law. The law is made up by us human beings. In pretty much every case that I can see, they're simply responding to some crappy, low-quality thinking as if it's important and significant, and they have to do something about it. So maybe they feel like they were wronged, and again, that feeling comes from thought. And they have the thought that they need to take revenge. Well, if you think your thoughts are really important and significant, well, you're probably going to take that revenge. You're going to take action. Maybe you're going to harm that person. Maybe you're even going to kill that person that did that to you, quote unquote. And so your experience of life is going to be shaky at best. And so that's the kind of life you're going to be leading if you have a very low understanding about the nature of thought and consciousness and mind. Now, think about the other way. If your relationship to your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, your ideas of right and wrong, your memories, your traumas, significant events of the past, ideas about the future, if your relationship to those thoughts is that they're just thought, they're not significant. It's just random mumbo-jumbo in your head. And it's pretty illusory. It's transitory, it's arbitrary, like we talked about in the last video. You're going to have certain thoughts. Same kind of thoughts that everyone has. Dark thoughts, low thoughts, miserable thoughts, crappy thoughts, unproductive thoughts. And you're just not going to take those thoughts seriously. Just be like, it's just my thinking. I don't have to do anything about it. It's just thought. It'll pass. You're also not really going to act on those thoughts. Because when you understand, when you recognize it for what it is, just thought, that relationship is going to save you. You're not going to have to put out those fires that you used to or that other people do when they get caught up in their low thinking. Don't recognize it for what it is. And then they make a big stink about it. They do something about it, and they get in trouble. It could be breaking the law. It could be just maybe telling your boss off. Now's the time. I finally decided I'm going to tell them what I really think. Well, if you tell someone what you really think when you're caught up in crappy thinking, it's not going to go down well. Especially if they don't understand the nature of thought. You could lose your job. You could tell your partner off. Tell them how frustrated you are with them. When in reality, that internal experience is just coming from your thinking. And it's not real. It's just thought. Can you just imagine the significance that relationship you have with your thinking will have on your life? It's huge. It's huge. I can't emphasize it enough. The more you deepen your understanding of consciousness and all these principles, it will make your life more and more wonderful and much more gentle. So think about it for a second. One of my favorite analogies comes from one of my just favorite people and mentors and brilliant coach, Michael Neal. Talks about a job at a casino. So imagine I'm going to hire you. I own a casino. I'm going to bring you in because I've seen you gambling and playing games at the casino and having a wild time and fun. And what I've noticed is it really gets other people to play along, to get involved and gamble. And so I see the value, and so I'm going to hire you. I'm going to hire you to come into my casino. I'm going to pay you $500 every night. So you're going to get $500 a night for a few hours. Come in and gamble and have fun. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually give you $500,000 in chips to gamble each night. And at the end of each night, whatever you win, whatever you lose, you hand the chips in, and then we give you your $500. So you don't get to keep any of your winnings, or you don't actually lose any of your losings. Now imagine you're gambling, you're in there, and you're way up. You turn your 500,000 chips into 1,000,000 chips, 2,000,000 chips, and you're having a wild time. You're having fun, but then come the end of the night, you're gonna cash in the chips, and they're gonna give you your $500, and you're gonna go home. And now think about the other side. You're way down. You're losing everything. Oh my God, I lost it all. And then at the end of the night, you're going to go, and they're going to give you $500. Your experience of that, playing with the house's money, is going to be much different than if you're playing with your own, because there's nothing's on the line. You're still going to experience that sort of up and down, highs and lows in the moment of winning and losing in this game. But it's not really significant. You're not really going to take it very seriously, right? Well, it's the same with our lives when we begin to deepen our understanding of these principles. We still feel high, we still feel low, we still feel sad, we still feel happy based on our thinking, but it's much gentler because you're playing with the house's money. Nothing's really at stake. You still have your well-being, and your experience is just coming from your thoughts, and your thoughts aren't really real. So just like your wins and losses in the casino, they're not really real. It's not your money. So it's our consciousness, our relationship with our thinking, that either allows us to see it for what it really is, as just thought, or if we don't have a deep understanding of our consciousness, we bring our thoughts to life with our consciousness. We light them up. It's like a projector. The thoughts are like the film strip, and we project them out into the world, and we make them real and big and loud and scary. But it's not. It sure looks and feels like it is when we're caught up in it. Another way I talk about it is that our consciousness is our relationship to our moods. So, when I talk a lot about thought, people get kind of caught up in that, and we can intellectualize it. But the way to tell what's really going on is your mood, sort of your feeling in the moment. Are you emotionally feeling kind of low, or are you feeling high in the sense that you're sort of peaceful and well, and everything's okay and joyful, but not like ecstatic, like crazy high. It's not the kind of high mood I'm talking about. Now, when your consciousness is low, or your understanding of your relationship with thought is low, you're going to mistake your low moods for being real and significant and important. And oftentimes we do that, and then we do the opposite with our high moods. We mistake them for being insignificant. and this is just a one-off, a random incident where I'm feeling good. The reality is, well, and then on the flip side, so let's look at it. When you deepen your understanding of consciousness, you have a deeper consciousness, a higher consciousness, and you're in a low mood, you recognize it as a low mood. I'm feeling low. I must be thinking some crappy thoughts or some miserable, insecure thoughts. And it's nothing more than that. It's not the world imposing its feeling on me, because that's not how the world works, remember? It's my thinking. And I don't need to take it very seriously. And when you have a deeper understanding of thought, consciousness and mind, when we're in a high mood, and again, it's that more peaceful, quiet place inside, a place of innate well-being. I'll talk about more in the next video. Then that's when we know we've got sort of the green light. I use the stoplight analogy sometimes. When you're in the low mood, it's a red light. Don't take action on these thoughts because they're crappy thoughts. You're not in your best place. Don't do anything about it. You can still do stuff, just don't take significant action on your low mood thinking. And then when you're sort of neutral, you're not quite sure how you're feeling, that's like the yellow light, proceed with caution. And then when you're in a high mood, you're well in yourself and you're feeling peaceful. That's the green light. Go take action. Listen to your wisdom. Access your creativity, because that's where it's going to come from. That's where it lives. In our well-being, in our higher moods. And I'm hoping that you can begin to see the significance of this, because it will make all of the difference in your life when you begin to see your experience is being projected from the inside out. Again, like I talked about in the first video, wearing those virtual reality sunglasses. We think we're looking on the world, and the world is sort of making us feel a certain way. But when we understand, when we deepen that consciousness, then we begin to see, oh, I'm wearing glasses and I can't actually see through them. I'm only experiencing my thinking. Then life becomes just much easier to navigate when you know what's going on, when you know how the system works. Let me give you one last analogy, and that's the elevator of consciousness. So I sort of started with this idea, but let me just expand on it. So at like the lowest level, you're in in the, was it Charlie and Chocolate Factory? I think it was the sequel, The Great Glass Elevator. There was a book. I don't know if there's a movie, but there was a book. And Charlie and the chocolate factory guy, Willy Wonka, go up in this great glass elevator. They can see in all directions out of it, and so imagine you're in this really cool great glass elevator, and you're starting at the bottom floor. So the bottom floor of consciousness, you can't see very good. It's like the basement. It's dark. You don't really know what's going on. And that's like the lowest level of consciousness. When you don't understand, when you can't see, when you don't have an awareness of your thinking and the nature of your thought, and you take it very seriously and real. And so again, that's the level that most criminals live on, is that they take those actions and they can't see outside their own thinking because they're at sort of the bottom floor. Now imagine taking it up a level. So you're at the 200-foot level. You can see some more stuff. You've got some altitude. Sometimes you can see through your thinking, but you still feel as though the world has a pretty big impact on your experience of life. And so you're starting to see more, but yeah, my thinking, it's got something to do with my experience, but not much. And so you're still going to take a lot of your thoughts seriously. You're just not going to take those crazy thoughts quite as seriously. The ones to hurt people, the ones to, be violent and abusive and abuse drugs, and all those things. And then let's imagine we take it up another level, and you begin to have some more insights about nature of thought and consciousness, and you can really start to see all around you. You're still in the building, but you can look out, and you can begin to see that, well, maybe you start to get suspicious by where your experience comes from. It's my thinking. I think maybe it's my thinking. Maybe it's not the world outside me. Not quite sure. But maybe it's not as real or as solid as I thought it was. And I imagine going up just to the super high level, 5,000 feet level. And you're just floating there, way up in the air, and you're in this beautiful glass elevator, and you can see all around you. And it's just a beautiful view. And you look down, and you notice, holy crap. It was all my thinking all along. All this time I thought, this heartache and hurt was coming from my ex-partner. It was my thought. All this time I thought my stress and my hardship and my suffering, it was coming from my job and my boss. It was just thought. Made real, because I didn't understand. Innocently, I didn't understand. My health and well-being, my depression, it was all thought. I see it all clearly now. And then you also begin to, see the beauty behind the system, the innate well-being that we all have, that we're born with, sort of spiritual well-being, who we really are. And I'll talk more about that. That's to do with mind in the next video. Now we're all going up and down on the elevator to different levels, but once you have even a brief peek of that 5,000 foot level, and I have an idea that there's a level beyond that, but to be honest with you, I've never been there. That to me is like you're fully awakening, or rising, or ascending, as they call it in spiritual circles. But once you get a peek at one of those higher levels, and even though you have the sense that there's higher levels, you can't unsee that. You can forget it in the moment, and believe me, I forget all the time. You can forget that it's just thought in the moment, but you'll always come back to your understanding. That's your grounding. Now, I'm not saying grounded, but that's like being on the first floor. But if you have a grounding in the 5,000 foot view of consciousness and understanding of this, your life is going to transform before your very eyes. And my hope is that even in watching these videos, you'll begin to creep up the elevator. And for some people, some of the time, people just see it. They're like, 5,000 feet. And for other people, they just inch up bit by bit. There's no right or wrong way to have the experience of deepening your understanding. But my promise to you is, if you keep looking in the direction of the nature of these principles and the truth behind them, you're going to go up in the elevator. And you're going to experience more peace and love and well-being and connection than you ever thought possible. And then you'll forget, and then you'll remember, and then you'll forget, and then you'll remember. But overall, your experience, it stays up there. And what I'd love is just for you to continue in that conversation. And I'll meet you in the next video. So I'm going to wrap up there. But again, I'd love to continue this conversation with you, whether it's in these videos or in one-on-one coaching with me or my coaching articles. Again, you can find me at www.coachtylerthurman.blogspot.com, or give me a call if you're interested in actually coaching with me. 503-389-3778. And I'll see you hopefully at the 5,000 foot level. And I look forward to continuing our conversation soon. All right, I'll see you in part 3. Have a wonderful day.